It is said that nearly 4.5 billion years ago, our Earth was formed, and about 3.8 billion years ago, life began on Earth. But have humans ever wondered where we truly came from? For thousands of years, humans have left traces of their ancestors across the entire Earth. The question of how we came to be on Earth has driven humans to not only look up to the sky, but also dive deep into the mysteries of the Earth and the oceans. We have searched for our history. Origin of life. The exact process of how life originated is still debated, but it's believed that life began in the form of simple molecules like amino acids and nucleotides, which combined to form more complex structures like proteins and RNA. One popular theory is the RNA world hypothesis, suggesting that self-replicating RNA molecules could have been the first form of life. But just as we have moved forward through time, our curiosity and amazement about our origins have only grown. Eventually it became clear that our distant ancestors lived billions of years ago on the Earth's surface, where warm and safe waters existed. However, is it easy to believe this? Today, we share the Earth with countless different forms of life. Some of them are closely related to us, while others are so unique that our natural connection with them seems non-existent. But science tells us that all creatures on Earth share the same ancestors. Believing in this might seem challenging for both you and me, but we will embark on a journey today to find traces of our ancestors. This journey will not only take us through distant history, but also give us a chance to understand the mystery of how life began. We will observe the Earth as it was billions of years ago, when it was an inhospitable place, and toxic life forms that once wiped out all life. We will explore the small and powerful elements shared between this stone, surrounded by trees, and our bodies. During this journey, we will uncover nature's deepest secrets and learn about the mysteries of our existence. Our journey begins with a natural law that has led us to where we are today. It is harsh, unforgiving, and we call it natural selection. This law has been in effect since the dawn of life on Earth. Under this law, every living being has fought a great battle for survival. Those that survived and adapted to the environment were given the opportunity to enjoy the Earth's beauty. Through time, weaker animals were wiped out by stronger ones, and the stronger ones faced the fury of nature. The creatures that adapted to their surroundings were the ones that survived and thrived. Nature's harmony was not about brute force, but about the wisdom of the creatures and their ability to adjust to their environment. Some species were given unique traits that allowed them to survive in the harsh conditions of Earth. For instance, the tiny creatures that emerge from turtle eggs must avoid predators and reach the safety of the ocean. The weaker ones fall prey to predators, but the stronger, faster ones escape to the ocean and begin their new life. Nature's selection is not a new phenomenon. It has been shaping life on Earth for eons, leading to the evolution of diverse species. Life on Earth has existed for billions of years, but the question remains, where did it all begin? The largest part of our planet is covered by water, with the vast ocean being a place where life first emerged. Today, we know that life in the ocean takes many forms, from tiny jellyfish to massive creatures the size of ships. All life on Earth, including yours and mine, originated in the waters. The ocean served as nature's laboratory, where life was experimented with and began to evolve. It is difficult to believe that our distant ancestors once emerged from the waters to walk on land, but science has provided evidence that links our history to these aquatic creatures. Our bodies still carry traces of these ancient aquatic ancestors, and many of the traits we have today developed in the water. Even now, during our early stages of development in the womb, we possess features that hint at our aquatic origins. For example, in the early stages of fetal development, Human embryos have gills, which in fish transform into gill arches. Later, in the 5th or 6th week, a tail develops, which is later absorbed as we grow. This link between life on Earth and its aquatic origins raises important questions. Why did life first emerge in water? To understand this, we must look back at Earth's history around 3.8 billion years ago, when the planet was inhospitable. There was no oxygen, the atmosphere was thin, and the Earth's surface was exposed to harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. It seemed impossible for life to survive in such conditions. However, despite these harsh conditions, life found its safe haven in the waters. This environment was much more secure for life to thrive, leading to the first emergence of life on Earth. Scientists suggest that small molecules in water came together to form simple life forms, marking the beginning of life on our planet. Understanding how life began on Earth is complex, but it is essential to explore the fundamental nature of living beings. Life can be classified into two categories: single-celled organisms and multicellular organisms. Even today, our bodies are made up of tiny cells that work together to form tissues, which then come together to create organs, allowing us to function as living beings. Cells, despite being incredibly small, contain intricate systems that allow life to exist. These systems work together, giving rise to the most basic unit of life. So, while cells may seem tiny, they are the building blocks of all living organisms, including us. This journey into the past helps us understand the origins of life and how we evolved from simple single-celled organisms into the complex life forms we are today. The cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane, acts as the outer covering of the cell. It functions like a membrane or a skin, protecting the cell. It's not just an ordinary membrane. It identifies nutrients and allows them to enter while blocking harmful elements. Additionally, it allows waste from the cell to exit. Inside the cell is a liquid called the cytoplasm, but it is not just liquid. It contains structures that perform essential functions. These specialized parts synthesize important elements like proteins, and it is through these proteins that the cell carries out many of its chemical processes. Some parts of the cell convert small molecules from food into materials essential for the cell's energy and growth. These nutrients are transferred via special tubes, ensuring that the necessary substances from the food we eat are processed continuously. The next part is the nucleus, which can be considered the cell's control center, or its brain. Located in the center of the cell, the nucleus is responsible for overseeing cell growth and ensuring the cell divides to form new cells. A cell cannot survive without these parts. It creates the necessary components through them. All these structures work together to form a functioning cell. The cell, the smallest unit of life, is essential for life. The question arises, if the nucleus were removed from the cell, could it survive? The cytoplasm alone does not function independently. The various components within a cell need to work together in a complex system. While individual components cannot live on their own, together they define the life of a cell. But why is this important? To truly understand life, we must study its deepest mysteries. Interestingly, the components of a cell are made up of even smaller units called macromolecules. These macromolecules, such as carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, are formed from atoms. For example, proteins, essential for the growth of cells, are made up of amino acids. These amino acids join in specific patterns to form proteins, and it's this combination that gives rise to the variety of proteins the body needs. But are macromolecules the smallest units? They are made up of even smaller particles like atoms, which consist of neutrons, protons, and electrons. These atoms combine to form macromolecules, which in turn form the structures of the body. Life itself is a combination of these parts, a complex system that we've only scratched the surface of. The creation of life is a mystery we are still trying to understand. While the scientific explanation for the origin of life is not yet fully known, scientists worldwide are dedicated to unraveling the layers of this mystery. According to Darwin's theory, life began billions of years ago as a simple form and became more complex over time. Initially, the organisms were simple, and understanding their structure and processes wasn't as difficult as it is with today's complex organisms. As time passed, new features and organs developed in living beings, making life more intricate. One way to understand this better is through the observation of how living beings evolve. When an organism has offspring, the new generation may have new features suited to the environment. However, if these features do not help the offspring survive, they may die off before reaching maturity. For example, consider the color of a leaf. Initially, plants might have had a variety of colors, but the green ones survived better because they were less visible to predators. Over time, green plants became dominant, passing on their color to future generations. Changes within to become secure. The key point here is that children who could not adapt to the environment due to their shortcomings became fewer in number, and they fell behind in developing their strength compared to children born in a normal way. As a result, the traits that helped individuals adapt to their surroundings began to thrive in greater numbers. Over time, these traits evolved to the extent that they developed into a new species, and it became increasingly difficult to trace their origins to their ancestors. Shubhendu gradually refers to this process as the gradual evolution or regulation of life. Life developed on Earth in countless forms, including the development of missiles. The fossil records found on Earth provide more evidence to support this theory. The study of fossils, as we move back in time, makes it easier to understand the nature of lakes and other environments. Based on this, scientists concluded that life originated as a very simple cell around 3.5 billion years ago. But the question arises, where did that first simple single cell come from? The complexity of even simple bacteria today is so high that it seems impossible for such life to form in a single step. This means that even the simplest form of life requires several generations to develop. The logical explanation for the first life forms is that the earliest creatures that could reproduce and create life were not born by chance. For reproduction to occur and pass on generations, it was essential for them to replicate. Without reproduction, life could not sustain itself. The first form of life on Earth must have emerged through a chemical process rather than by some divine or mysterious force. Everything in this world, even air and light, is made of tiny particles. These particles come together to form molecules, which in turn combine to form larger structures, such as cells. This process is studied in chemistry, but there is a branch that also explains how, through the interaction of molecules, life was born. Life's chemistry tells us that it is essential for different tiny particles to work together as a team. This is called the metabolic process. Even in the simplest cells, such as those of plants, many processes occur simultaneously, like breaking down food for energy. Metabolism is central to the growth of cells, and without it, life cannot be sustained. The molecules that form living beings include amino acids, sugars, and others, which combine to create complex structures like genes, proteins, and cell membranes. It was once believed that these molecules were exclusive to living organisms, but it was later discovered that such molecules could also form in non-living environments. This was demonstrated in 1828 by Friedrich Wöhler, who synthesized urea, a compound found in urine, in the laboratory. This discovery challenged the idea that living beings were required to create certain molecules, suggesting instead that life is the result of chemical processes. The study of these processes has shown that life can emerge from the interaction of non-living elements. Recent studies have also shown that amino acids and other essential components for life can be found in space debris that lands on Earth, suggesting that the building blocks for life are widespread throughout the universe. Over billions of years, some living organisms on Earth adapted to life with oxygen, while others, such as cyanobacteria, contributed to the creation of oxygen in the atmosphere, eventually leading to a global crisis when oxygen became toxic to many species. However, some unique life forms survived and thrived in the presence of oxygen, leading to the formation of complex life on Earth. These changes in Earth's atmosphere and the emergence of new life forms fundamentally altered the planet's environment and the course of evolution. During the early formation of Earth, the planet was very hot, with frequent volcanic activity and constant bombardment from meteorites. There were no life forms in this period. The atmosphere was mostly made up of gases like methane, ammonia, and carbon dioxide, but oxygen was not present. This period marks the emergence of the first simple life forms. Life was predominantly microbial, consisting of single-celled organisms like bacteria and archaea. These early life forms were anaerobic, meaning they did not rely on oxygen to survive. Some of these microbes were likely extremophiles, living in environments like deep-sea hydrothermal vents or hot springs. Around 3.5 billion years ago, cyanobacteria, formerly known as blue-green algae, began to use sunlight to produce energy through photosynthesis, a process that releases oxygen. This process led to the gradual buildup of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere, a phenomenon known as the Great Oxidation Event.